Yes, yes, it's at Intel. So this is the building management system. We are privileged to have it in Heritage Place. It's a very, very expensive venture. I think it costs over 500 million naira. Okay. So, but what it does is it's part of the it's at Intel. So this is the building management system. We are privileged to have it in Heritage Place. It's a very, very expensive venture. I think it costs over.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Another exciting time to share some moments with you here in the Facility Management Launch Hour today, Thursday. And I'm sure we are all familiar with the topic of today's session as advertised. My name is Paul Erubami. I'm the Chief Executive of Max-Migold Limited and the Head of Faculty here at the Max-Migold Training Center. It's been an exciting year for us. We've had the final batch of the FMMC Mastercraft, Facility Management Mastercraft Diploma started off in September. final batch for the year 2024. And so it's been a good ride so far this year. We have now closed on admissions into that batch. We do have high impact courses scheduled for, yes, yeah, please. We do have high impact courses scheduled for October and November and December. 2 days, 3 days courses that you can find at facilitymanagementcourses.com. So please go to facilitymanagementcourses.com and browse through those short courses and refresh yourself. So far too, we've had the AFMPN annual conference in Abuja, which was an excellent success. And if you are listening here today and you're not members of AFMPN, it's very easy. Just visit afmpn.org or send me a WhatsApp message and I'll direct you on how to get registered as a member. You need to have a professional standing, an association to belong to. We've been taking these topics on a weekly basis. If you've been following, you will know that we always go live here on Zoom. We're also live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Okay, so if you have missed any of the sessions, just looking through all of the topics we've covered, your best bet will be to visit our YouTube channel where you'll find every of these lessons. So in addition to joining us in all of our social media platforms where you can connect with us and stay informed of the topics that we'll be taking and also the videos of all the classes. It's important for you to be able to have your own access to the ones that you miss on YouTube and other social platforms. So connect, like, and share. And something exciting is coming up for those who have, successfully completed the FM Mastercraft Diploma. We are working on launching the Ambassadors Program. We have made a big success out of the alumni platform. It's a huge platform for all the alumni. But from among these almost 1,000 alumni in the FM diploma, we're going to have a select, few as ambassadors of the program, and they will be on a special, arrangement to be advocating for people to take on the FM diploma because it's made a huge impact in their careers, and they want to speak it and share that information with others through their platforms, of course. So if you're an alumni and you're interested in this, immediately start showing interest by connecting with our training manager, Ms. Baraka Suleiman or myself. Just send me a message on WhatsApp, and I'm sure we'll be able to line you up for this great opportunity. There'll be a good mix of benefits, rewards, in this package that we're trying to create. So look forward to having you there. All right, so let me drive straight into today's topic, honing your communication competence. I'll share my screen now and get right into it. I hope I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, can I get a confirmation that my screen is sharing?
Yes, sir. You have a negotiation communication meeting as your first page.
Okay, super. That's the screen I want to share. Thank you so much. So if you have questions while I'm running through the presentation, kindly put it in the chat while we are live, and put it in the chat in all of the platforms where you currently are, whichever platform you are in. Put your question in the chat so that I'll be able to treat them the end of the day. I will definitely have about 10 minutes to, treat those questions that you may be having. All right, so honing your communication competency. Second. At the end of this session, you should be able to understand the role of communications in not just facility management. So, because this is my bread and butter, facility management, but communication is something that is relevant to all professions. So if you have colleagues, friends with you, this is general purpose. We try to make all of our training as general purpose as possible. Communication skills, communication tools and techniques, common issues around effective communication, barriers, and then we're going to talk about how to come up with your with your own communications development plan. Okay, so those are what we're going to be covering. The importance, the tools, the key communication competencies, how to overcome the barriers, practical scenarios in FM, developing a communication plan, and we'll finalize. Okay, so what is the basis for the communication competence? What's the, what is the final summary of this communication competence specifically to facility managers? There are two angles to this competence. The first, and this is defined by the International Facility Management Association, IFMA, in the Global Job Task Analysis surveys done in 2009 and 2010, I was able to come up with 11 competencies that the facility manager needs to succeed or excel in his job. And one of it is communication. In fact, communication is one of the first competencies that you need. And it was broken down into two key aspects of communication. The first one is the competent facility manager is able to manage, oversee the development and use of the facility communications plan. That's the first part. So it's not saying, oh, the FM should know how to communicate. You have to have a structured approach to communication. That's what we call the facility communications plan. I'll be talking about that in a bit. The second angle to this competence is the competent facility manager is able to prepare and deliver messages that achieve the intended results. So this points us straight to the meaning of communication, interchange of thoughts. When I have thoughts, when I have ideas, when I have things growing up in my mind and I want someone else to have that information and act on them. So until that action actually happens, until that understanding that leads to action actually happens, I can't say I have communicated, okay? So this second competence, the second aspect of the communication competence for facility manager is very important. Some action is going to be the proof that I have effectively communicated. So let's go to the first one. Being able to develop and use the facility communications plan. You must be able to develop and implement effective communication strategies. Be able to oversee consistent communication among all departments and stakeholders. Ensure timely dissemination of critical information to relevant parties. Facilitate clear and transparent reporting on facility operations and projects. Continuously reviews and updates the communication plan to adapt to changing needs. Let me bring this closer home. Because communication has to do with giving and receiving information between parties. It means that the first element, the first consideration is who? Who are my stakeholders? Okay? Who are my stakeholders? So that's the first thing you must identify in your communications plan. If you don't know who your stakeholders are, you don't have a communications plan. So that's the first thing. The next thing is why? Why do I communicate with these stakeholders? This sets the basis for the objective of the communication. So every communication should have an objective. You don't just talk or disperse information for no apparent reason. So why? So once I know who the stakeholders are, I define why do I communicate with them. And once I understand why, which sets the objectives for my communication with them, and each of these are two ways, who includes me and the other parties, right, stakeholders. Why also defines why I communicate. And why I communicate is also two ways. There are information I need from them, and there's information they need from me, right? So I must situate that in the why. And then I move on to what. What information do I need to exchange? I will start with what I need to get, my inputs, information from utility providers, information from my service providers, information from my staff, the work they do, and so on. I'm listing those, what I would need from them. And I'm putting them under the stakeholders. So if I start by itemizing my stakeholders, now I know the objectives of my communication with each stakeholder on the next column. And then what information do I need from them? I start with that because that's my input. And then to the next one, what information do I give to them? Updates on service disruptions, my preventive maintenance plan, those who need to approve my budget, those who need to release funds, those who need to know there have been changes to the services or issues. I need to identify what that communication from me would be. So if I'll put this in a structure, I'll put the stakeholders column by column or row by row on the spreadsheet. And then I'll answer for each stakeholder what the objectives. That will be the next column, right? And then I will now have the third one, which will be what to receive from them. And I'll put row by row for under each stakeholder, I'll create more rows to add all the what information I'll receive from them, because for each of these information type, I need to create more columns. And then I will now also put the ones I need to give to them, right? My reports and the rest in rows. For every report type, whether I'm going to receive it or I'm going to give it, I need to add in more columns what channel will I use, right? So this is where I decide that a particular information will go through a report, or there will be a weekly meeting, or there will be a WhatsApp, exchange of information, or there will be a newsletter, those are the channels, or it will be published on the website, and so on and so forth. I'll have a list of channels, with which I receive and give information. So I will be picking the specific ones. Sometimes there will be multiple channels for one type of information or communication I need to make or I need to receive. So after I've defined the channel, I will now begin to add other items like frequency. How often is this information needed? Is this something that I need to do weekly? Is once a month okay? Once a quarter, twice a year, once a year? Most compliance-related issues that I will need to deal with government agencies is usually once a year. If I'm compliant till next year, right? So I will have the frequencies defined. And then because I've defined the channel, whether it's going to be a meeting or whatever, I'll put the channels now. Then it is after that, I will now have the last column for content. The content of those communications. So the specific breakdown of the information to be captured, that now becomes the content. You see, I have created the plan. Now, with this plan as a baseline, I can now create additional columns to calendar. So things that are, say, a frequency of weekly, I'll not decide on the calendar, is that weekly going to be every Monday, every Friday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, every Sunday? What day do I want to put it? And then I'll now tick or mark, on the calendar for an annual communications plan, the way you do your preventive maintenance program. The one that is monthly, which week of the month, which day of the week, and I'll pin those down. The ones that's quarterly, which month in the quarter, and which week in the month, and which day in the week, and I'll sort that out. So I have laid out. It's as simple as that. If I have this communications plan, the final thing I need to do to put it into play or put into operation is have a conversation with each of the stakeholders to have their input into this plan. So I'll break the plan down according to stakeholders, and I'll either email or have a meeting with a stakeholder, have a phone call to just review this and see if there are other areas I might have missed in terms of what they will need from me, and I would need to receive from them. Refine the content, decide on the frequency together, so that this communications plan is not just about me, because it's always two ways. The various stakeholders have to be, in agreement. So there's nothing like this is my weekly newsletter, this is my monthly newsletter. Whoever is going to receive a newsletter has to agree that weekly or monthly is in order, or what content should be in it. You don't decide to just put whatever you like and then throw out to people. No, they also are part of that decision making. So when the plan is perfected, each person knows what to expect from you, and they also know when you will give them information. So that if you set up meetings, for example, weekly meetings or monthly meetings, you can already add them into those meetings in the calendar, such that they're automatically reminded in their calendar that that meeting will hold. And the agenda, you will get a reminder yourself, set up a reminder yourself to get to do the activity that leads to that event. For example, setting out agenda, inviting input into the agenda, sharing the minutes of the meeting, and inviting corrections to the minutes of the meeting. So it becomes very straightforward. So that's, in a nutshell, what a communications plan is. So let's talk about this second aspect of this competency. You're being able to prepare and deliver messages that achieve the intended result. This is where it's not just enough to say, I have told them, I have shared the information, they know what to do. No. If the results are not being met, that communication is only halfway yet. If the messages are not causing positive action that the message actually prompts, then you have not succeeded yet. So you must craft clear, concise, and targeted messages for diverse audiences. Aligns communication with organizational goals and project objectives. Adapt messaging style to suit the audience and context. Utilize appropriate channels to deliver messages effectively. Monitors feedback to ensure messages are understood and drive the desired outcome. So the first thing here is, how do you write, or how do you speak, or how do you present a message? It has to be clear, it has to be concise, it must be targeted. What that means is that broad-based content will not work. You have to personalize or customize as much as possible. All communication should align with organizational goals and project objectives. And your audience and context is very important. You know, sometimes we get it wrong when we think that once I communicate to a group in one particular way, everybody in the group has been taken care of. They receive that communication. Sometimes you will find another group and you may be tempted to think that if I apply the same approach I used for the group I managed before or another group I'm managing now, it should give me the same results with this new group. Doesn't always work that way. So you must have a, the mind to customize how you approach different groups, their context, their backgrounds, antecedents or history behind their relationship with you and whoever you represent, issues they might have been having. There are so many things that you have to show presence of mind that you understand their situation, so you can adapt. So somebody that doesn't take a particular messaging approach or channel, you won't say, I've dropped it there, this is business. No, you have to find a way to adapt and get the person to accept. So it is at the point where you start receiving results that you know your communication has worked, okay? In facility management, we don't do anything solo, hardly. Still thinking of it. Everything we do is with a team. We don't do anything specifically for ourselves as facility managers. We do it for who? For the users that we serve. So if you don't know how to communicate, all of that technical abilities or managerial abilities you have falls to zero. Then nobody can coordinate the execution of tasks if you don't know how to communicate clearly to ensure that the people you are trying to give the job to, they have a full understanding of what you expect. They have a big picture overview of the reason, the why of what you are asking them to do, and they are committed to delivering it. FMs will always deal with emergencies, exigencies, crises, all kinds of issues. These are risk factors that we face on a day-to-day basis in the process of service delivery. But do we wait until something happens, the power goes out, water bursts, something breaks, someone is escalating and being unhappy? Is it when that happens, we start communicating to find solution? No, there's proactive communication to avert, and then proactive communication to plan mitigation, as well as proactive communication to avoid certain risks. So when you are doing your risk management plan, how to respond to crises and situations, you are not keeping that plan to yourself. You have to communicate the plan to every other stakeholder who are going to be actors in whatever mitigation strategy, whatever prevention, whatever avoidance strategy you have put in place, including the ones that have to do with transfer, whether it's insurance, vendors, contracting, or whatever. So all your stakeholders, you already have the communications plan we started with. All your stakeholders, which includes your staff, regulators, management, users of the building, they expect integrity, they expect trust, they expect transparency. I always say people who find it difficult to communicate, it's either they don't know how to communicate or they're hiding something. So if you now know how to communicate and you are open-minded, growth mindset person, professional, you will not communicate in half-truths. But of course, you not give everybody the same information. That's why you need to create a communication plan that perfectly positions what information is for who. And then you need clear and concise communication for decision making to ensure accurate information flows aiding in better decision making. If you have a good rapport with your team, there will be less mistakes and errors, reduce incidents of delays, and work not being done well. Because people will collaborate. They will not just imagine what's in the mind of the next person. There will always be conversations around it. And you would have created standard tools for communication. Part of the communications plan I talked about will involve communication with your team. And not just you to the team, but team member to team member within the team. It will form part of the communication plan. For example, your toolbox meetings that you hold every day. That's one channel for communicating. And what are you communicating there? You are learning from incidents, you are learning new skills and cross-training, you are planning for the day, and you are sharing tasks that needs to be done and planning resources and everything that needs to go into it, and so on and so forth. You see, that in itself fosters collaboration, because we are meeting to discuss what we want to do, not assuming that we know what we want to do. Because we did it yesterday does not mean that we will not review it again before we do it today. That's proper communication. And when you have this ability to have open dialogues with people, especially clients. Clients are very suspicious. If they pay you ₦1, in their mind, they have given you $1 million and they expect, 10 million out of the 1 million they thought they've given you, while you have received just ₦1. So if you are the type that holds back information, what's going to happen is that they are going to imagine that you are robbing them, that you are making a kill from the services you are delivering. And anytime there is a delay in service delivery, their mind goes for the worst. He has taken our money and he's going to do this and do that, or he has gone to double book himself and he's busy somewhere else, and that's why he's not delivering what we expect of him. But if you are always, we use this word a lot, carry me along, carry your customers along, carry your workers along, carry along. His communication is talking about this carry along. It means that if something pops up in your head, there are others that need to know, because they need it to work with you on a particular deliverable. They need to know now. Okay? And then create a feedback loop. Feedback is going back to review what's been done, what has happened. Whether it's a good occurrence or outcome or it's a bad one, you need to have a way to learn from it. Oh, we just finished a free training session. Oh, we just finished a conference. We just finished a new program. Or we just launched something into the market. Or whatever it is we are doing, right? There has to be that intermittent recurring feedback. We go have a discussion. What went well? What can we take from what went well? What did not go well? What can we change about what did not go well? The same thing with every service you deliver to any customer. You have to find a way to close the loop. They have given you a work to do. You've done the job. You cannot just go and close the work order. You go back to the client to ascertain that you've done it, and then give you a feedback on how well you did in different ways. Once you've done that well, then you can close that work order. But you see, facility management is not a service that you can, on your own, design and go and deliver. It's not something that you say, I understand the customer without talking to the customer. No, there's no standard FM service. You talk with the customer, you listen, you interpret what you have heard into a service specification outline. Get the customer to say, yes, this is what I want. You must listen and understand what the customer is saying. And then when you are delivering the service, you must also hear from the customer on how you are doing on an ongoing basis. We call that dynamic customer satisfaction index, which gives you data on an ongoing basis. Okay. And then when there are going to be issues within the team, for example, or when a customer and you as a client service provider relationship is going to go sour, trace it back to miscommunication. So if you can just form an opinion about something and just start reacting in a way that the next party does not understand, make every effort to ask. Make sure that you don't just create a position or an opinion about what you think is the reason that person is acting that way. That's where wahala starts from. When you now, have it in your mind that, because this person saw that I have been promoted, or I've gone to take up this, or because I've become that, he's jealous. That's why he's acting this way. Don't assume anything. And when there are issues to be resolved, make sure there is effort employed into discussing the resolution. Because most of the problems we have in this life are all from miscommunication. Most of the problems, everywhere in the world, everything from family feuds to poor work output to national and international wars and conflicts, it's all down to miscommunication, poor communication. All the things that you can tie to information that should be available openly and transparently by all parties not being available. Assumptions are made, conclusions are made, and people just, everything breaks down. Every time there is poor performance, think about it. It's linked to either the person who's supposed to do the job does not get enough information, does not understand that information, or that information did not come in a structured manner that the person can work with it, especially when you just throw general information everywhere and expect everybody to be able to work. Some people will pick it up and do, some people will not be able to get it right. Okay, so breaking that information into bits of structured context is very important. So I want to quickly talk about that acronym, ISBA: identification, situation, background, assessment, recommendation. Sometimes you are given assignments. Sometimes you are listening to a story. You are trying to make a conclusion. Sometimes you are trying to give an advice. If you go back to why the communication is needed in the first place, you should spend time identifying what. Understanding context, situation, the basis, the background of this information, and then do some assessments. So that by the time you start giving a recommendation, it's based on facts that you have put together from your study or understanding of the baseline factors. It's very important. You must build trust and credibility with your stakeholders. Communicate objectives, understand the needs and concerns. Use data and evidence to support your position. Don't just say, this thing is not enough, or this is too high, too low. All of those things we do, some, many more. They are not data. Those words are subjective. Look for the numbers that you can use to present objective, positions. And then try to seek win-win solutions to maintain positive relationships. There's always a way both parties can win in every situation. And then sometimes, because we're trying to avoid this miscommunication from somebody making assumptions, and we should also stop giving out cues that makes people to suspect us. There are certain ways we carry yourself in eye contact, in the tone of voice, your facial expressions, all these non-verbal cues that can give you a way as, somebody will just conclude, this is what this person is hiding something. So even if you're innocent, you've created that impression. So be conscious of how you come through to people, okay? And then, of course, there's a lot of technology now. People send WhatsApp, emails, phone calls, text messages, all kinds of things. And there's almost an overload of information. You go to some WhatsApp groups, before you blink, there are 200 messages dropped there. You don't even have time to go through all of them, so you will miss it. I used to be very dizzy just looking at the way things flow on Twitter. So till today I can't cope with that platform. I don't understand what that platform is about, because it's just like drop. It's always raining into it, and what time do I have to absorb? So I just stay my peace and keep my head cool. If anybody needs something to give to me, they will send it to me in the Karma platform, because that's me. So if we're talking communication, we have to understand the various stakeholders we are dealing with. There are some people that drop it on Twitter, tag this, do that, or whatever the jargon they use in sharing those information, they will get it. They will always respond to it. But that's not me. So we should be conscious of who before we start using the technology, and deciding that the person is actually active in that platform. If you drop in a group for me, I probably won't say it. If you send to me directly and I have your name in my phone, there's a high likelihood I'll open it. Documentation is a very key aspect of communication. If you are communicating with people, make sure that you have proper evidence of these communications. So not just the emails, there are forms, there are templates, there are minutes of meetings, agendas, different tools that exist in the organization for memos, for example, that are used to communicate, approval, requests, and so on. If you have them in place, please use them. If you don't have them in place, start thinking of, especially when it comes to corporate, communication. We all need to work together to understand how things are done, or create a system that works for the organization. What can be communication barriers? Sometimes somebody is expecting an information to be passed in one channel, and it's now passed in another channel, and so the person did not find it, did not see it. That's a big barrier. Most appointments that people set with me on WhatsApp chats, most of it I miss, because WhatsApp chat is not integrated with my calendar that has reminders. But not many people know that this is an issue, except when I remember to forward that chat to my secretary and say, please add this to my calendar, right? Then it becomes available in my calendar, and it can prompt me in my itinerary to say, you have this meeting or you have that conversation to do. So understand how the various channels work. So if you blame me tomorrow and say, oh, we agreed to meet, or blah, 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 and you were in the wrong channel. When you hold meetings, make sure your meetings are structured and timed, because meetings have become a major time waster. Sometimes meetings are used by certain members of the group to further certain agendas that are not in the interest of everyone in the group, selfish agendas. So I dare say, if I'm going to have a meeting, the agenda must be released well in advance. Everybody sees the agenda and knows what we're going to be discussing. And everybody's role in that meeting is understood well in advance before you come. So there's nobody idle, redundant in the meeting, or else you should be doing something else if it's not useful for you. Okay. Regular updates and check-ins to maintain alignment is very important. Actions have been taken, minutes have been shared, and nobody's doing anything about it because nobody's following up to make sure something is being done. Okay. Tailor communication style to the audience needs. We talked about that. Set expectations early and confirm understanding. If I send you an email and you did not acknowledge it, I will call you to confirm that you have received it and you understand the content of the email, of the message. Because if I don't, I can't blame you for not responding, because all I did was to send you and I didn't follow up. And then there are also cultural issues when it comes to communication. Inclusivity means that we should try and accommodate people of all backgrounds. Whether you're wearing a hijab, or whether you have earring as a man, or whether you are you have tattoo all over your body. If we are here to work, I cannot judge you and say, this person is too filthy for me to communicate with. You are the one that should lead that organization because you're not ready yet. Okay? And then try to talk to everybody in a non-judgmental way. Let communication be show that you are sensitive to everybody's preferences. I don't need to be I don't need to become part of your belief system to work well with you, because I'm working with a structure. We have things we have to do, and I take everybody as the same. In fact, when it comes to the issue of culture, I do all I can to avoid religion and ethnicity in my conversation, right from hiring to all company meetings and communications and everything. Leave it free. Let's have a diverse environment where everybody can feel that they belong, they can contribute, they can get support, they can help, they can build together. And all of this can only be driven by a leader who understands, proper communication, who understands how to set up a structured approach to communication within the organization. So, practical scenarios for communication: establish clear communication protocols for reporting emergencies, promptly. If something happens, what are the forms to be filled? How long should it take for these reports to get out as FMs? Generator was working and it just goes down, and many FMs will run to the generator house to go and start troubleshooting and dealing with the issue. When you have 100 people waiting for electricity, and then the next thing you start having is people calling you, ask questions, you have failed woefully. The first thing you do is, once you see that scenario, you understand preliminarily, within 5 minutes, you know what is going on and you know what you want to do. The first thing you do before you start acting on it is to send information to your users. And not say, I have dropped information in the group. If some people will not see it in the group, they will still call you. Use multiple channels. Ensure everybody understands how to get to the information. Ensure everybody understands what to do in case of certain emergencies or certain issues. That's why we do drills, isn't it? A drill is basically a communication event when we talk to each other. Create a checklist for critical information to share during emergencies. Okay, that's because you have done the risk management plan. You now know what information is relevant for dealing with the issues. So when I was talking about the create your communications plan, one of the things I talked about was objectives for every stakeholder that you have conversations with, as you receive information from and you give information to. Establish why. Those are the key objectives. Set SMART goals to achieve clarity and enhance relationships through communication. Assess current skills, evaluate strengths, weaknesses of yourself, your peers, and then identify improvement areas. And people will write you an email, and even if you read the email 5 times, you still don't understand what they're saying. It's either you find a way to understand how they reason and how they think, and what they kind of decode it because of your understanding of them, or you work on helping them improve in their communication. So all of those audience communication methods we talked about are all part of a proper communications plan for your facilities. Now, do you know whether you are doing well in communicating? Because sometimes you may just assume that, oh, I'm very good. Everybody knows I'm an open book. I talk a lot and people understand me. But if people still have certain notions, certain stereotypes about you that is making them to react or act in a way that is not what you would expect or what you hoped that they would do, then there must be something you are not doing well. So once in a while, do this reality check where you ask your team, how am I doing? Do I share information correctly? Sometimes some of us are just very blunt, say things the way it is. It may not go down well with everybody, but at least there's no communication gap. There's no misunderstanding of what you meant. as it were, you know. So sometimes that's ability to do reality check once in a while. So when I do that reality check once in a while, my team tells me, oh, this is how we perceive you, this is how I do it always. I get the feedback. For some, you know, I do some adjustments and amendments, but sometimes I go back again and ask myself, what kind of context, what kind of situation did we find ourselves that made me to act or communicate in this particular way that may not go down with certain people? What kind of results did we get? Did I get the results of what I'm trying to get, or was I able to build on a good relationship? Because sometimes you achieve, you know, that's, you know, push, and you get what you want, but you've hurt relationships. You know, there has to be a balance. You want the work done, but you also want a good relationship to exist between you and your team. So you must always plan to adjust, always try to adjust. Because when you have weaknesses in your communication and you are of course, most of the time we are the least to know, we are the last to know when we have those weaknesses with communications. So it's helpful to ask, you know, sometimes ask. My wife used to tell me that when I get passionate about a topic or talking about something and I get more engrossed in the volume of my voice starts rising. I'm not even aware. I'm not even aware that the volume of my voice, I start, you know, rising and rising to the point where it now looks as if I'm shouting. Somebody will not be, but it's just two of us that are here now. Why are you shouting? I will even say, I'm not shouting. But that's the thing. Nobody's perfect. We all are learning on how we can, you know, get better and better with our communication. So being able to assess our current strengths, areas where we are weak, you know, mirror from others what we can improve, and then begin to practice how to get better at overcoming those weaknesses is very important for communication. So I hope we've been able to get that first part of this message, the structure of a communications plan. The structure of a communication plan, if you can get that right, you solve almost all of the problem in the organization that you work in. You can excel in almost any role. Effective communication is vital for operational efficiency and team collaboration. Strong communication enhances client satisfaction and stakeholder relationships. These relationships go beyond work. You know, using appropriate communication tools and structured models improves clarity and reduces misunderstanding. So having that communication plan with structure, everything is there. Continuous self-assessment and feedback will help you, you know, refine your communication competency and continuously develop communication skills for long-term success. So that's our launch hour lesson for today, and I hope you'll be able to get one or two ideas from it. I promise to allow a few minutes for questions, feedback, comments about today's session. So I'm going to, what I did before was to make it, you can raise your hand if you want to, so that I can recognize you to be able to speak. If there is a comment or chat on the WhatsApp facility management training WhatsApp group, please someone can copy it and put here. If you're not part of our facility management training WhatsApp group, I believe let's see, there should be a chat with a link to join that WhatsApp group now. We have conversations there on an ongoing basis. To learn more about other platforms and information and recorded versions of these sessions, visit our YouTube channels. The link should be dropped. Drop the links for the WhatsApp group, the Telegram group, the YouTube channel, please. Thank you. Okay, so you can join straight up from there, and I'm always in that group to guide you through whatever career decisions you are making in this environment that we all work in. Okay, and this is my way of, you know, saying thank you to all those who have been attending these launch hour sessions. I want to encourage you to keep coming. This is a platform that we developed, more than a year ago to come to you on a weekly basis with something of value, and invite your friends. Want to fill up this, the seats here, 100 seats in Zoom, and then fill up our YouTube channels with people, eager to have these conversations and learn on a weekly basis. We are still working on the second program we promised to roll out, which is going to be more conversational, panel-based, that we'll be having on a weekly basis as well. The schedule for that, the program content will come to us, very soon, and I'm sure we should be able to launch that, so that every now and then we'll also have that opportunity to hear from issues that need to be resolved from your own operations and the things you want us to discuss about. You contribute your topics and ideas and questions and problems, and then we'll get panelists to come and have the conversation and show ideas on how to get better at the things we do. So that's coming. That's still in the works. The FM Mastercraft Diploma that we started in September will run to December. We are working towards the graduation of the current year, 2024 graduation, which happens every December. And we are having a massive bonus for the 2025 January class. The January class starts on January 6th. Don't count it as 3 months away. It's just November and December you have in between. This month of October, we have provided a 30% discount, 30%, massive discounts for anyone who pays for the January class. So save now and do that payments quickly so you can be in the January class of the FMMC. By November, that discount will drop to 20%, and by December, that discount will drop to 10%. So the earlier, the better to book your spot in the class if you've not done it. So if you have colleagues, if you have teams in your organization that you want to bring on to the FMMC, this 30% is not since the beginning. If you bring them on now for the January class, you could get as much as 50%, of the discounts from the 750 physical or the 550 virtual for the FMMC. Okay, so take advantage of this. Some people would prefer to pay instrumentally, right? So you can start now, start paying through 3 months, 6 months, even 9 months or 12 months if you start now. Because when the class starts, the breakdown you can have will be either 2, 3, or 6 months. In all of these, each offer of a discount or the flexible payment arrangement, they don't mix, they don't go together. You take the flexible payment arrangement, you pay the full money over a period of time, which means we cover your costs while you're paying instrumentally, or you pay full, but with a massive discount, 30% in October, 20% in November, and 10% in December. That's what we have on the table right now. So thank you very much for being here. I hope you have a splendid rest of the day and the week, and see you again on Thursday in the lunch hour session. Have a good day. Bye.